Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Alex and Sidi and Isha and everyone in the FIT community for being here today. It's so great to be back at my alma mater. FIT is a very significant part of my journey that has led me to India. I initially came to India in 2010 on what was supposed to be a short-term educational trip along with other FIT alumni. But I ended up being, I guess you could say, overwhelmed by the poverty that I witnessed here. Just to give you an idea, there's over 300,000 children living on the streets in Delhi alone. So I decided to extend my trip and I began volunteering in a slum in Northeast Delhi. During my time in that slum, I met a young boy who was rescued off the streets and brought into the shelter home where I was volunteering. And this boy had special needs. He was a nonverbal child. And I quickly realized that there are many shelter homes in Delhi catering to the needs of street children, but there was no home in Delhi for children with special needs that were being rescued from the streets. And the fact was that majority of children living on the streets had some sort of mental and or physical disability. This boy ended up being transferred to the only institution, a state-run mental institution in Delhi for children like him. It's overrun basically, and it's notorious for its neglect of children due to it being overrun. And this boy unfortunately passed away shortly after, as most likely as a result of the neglect that he faced. So this was a time in my life where I was faced with this reality. It was a realization that, you know, the only difference between me and that boy was a mere chance of latitude and longitude. The fact that I was born to a loving middle-class family in New Jersey, and he, like so many others, was born to a poor family in India with cultural and economic pressures that did not allow them to care for a child with special needs. So I ended up deciding to move to India permanently. I sold all of my belongings and I put a house on rent in Delhi, and I began combing the streets and the slums and rescuing children with special needs who had been abandoned or neglected. So, you know, our home began to grow. I obviously needed help, and that's when I founded One Life to Love. One Life to Love is a nonprofit organization based in New Jersey, and One Life to Love raises all of the funds and the support that we need to do this work. And then I also needed help to care for the children, and I ended up hiring women, some of the most amazing, strongest women I have ever met. These women are also, in a way, ostracized from society due to the fact that they are widows or they are divorcees who have survived domestic violence. These women are who we call our house moms. They act as the mothers to these children. They treat them like their own, and they create a nurturing environment for our children. To continue, I believe that you know, as human beings, we owe it to ourselves to realize that our purpose here on this earth is to use our gifts to positively affect others, positively affect change in our communities. And I believe it's not something that happens, you know, when we become something or when we gain something in life. It happens when we decide to choose our gift and then align it to its purpose. And I realized early on that my gift is problem solving. I am very good at seeing a problem and figuring out long-term solutions. There was no home for children with special needs, so I opened one. That was problem number one. Problem number two, we realized that the girls in our community were not going to school. And this left them vulnerable to many issues, like one including child marriage, even child labor. So what did we do? We went to their homes, we visited their families, and we began figuring out solutions. What came up was financial constraints as one of the number one issues that these families were facing, and one of the number one reasons they were not sending their daughters to school. So One Life to Love took on the financial burden of sending these girls to school. We pay for their tuition, their school fees, uniforms, books, all of their educational materials. We also found that the facilities in government schools do not always offer a conducive learning environment. So we work hard to provide blackboards, desks, chairs. We paint murals on the walls, we plant trees, and we even install washrooms when there is no proper facility or no separate facility for boys and girls bathrooms. We also established the first girls soccer team in our locality. And we introduced an art program into the government schools, and we petitioned to the government schools to hire art teachers full-time. So even after doing all of this, we saw that the enrollment rate increased drastically, but the dropout rate was still relatively the same. And we did a little more investigating, and we saw that we came to find out that actually when girls got their periods, they would immediately drop out of school. And that was because they had nothing to manage their periods with. This is when we launched our Women's Alliance. And this is, Women's Alliance exists to support and raise awareness about women's sexual health. Under this program, One Life to Love initiated the Shakti Pads program. The word Shakti describes the concept of the divine female creative power. So the Shakti Pads project aims to empower women who are living in period poverty. Period poverty basically means that they do not have access to feminine hygiene products as a result of economical constraints, or as simple as a lack of awareness or a lack of acceptance from their communities and families. So One Life to Love distributes more than 15,000 sanitary pads every month to these women. Our aim is to put a stop to the stigma that surrounds feminine hygiene products and menstrual health altogether. So as a way to expand this program, we are now aiming to raise $40,000 to purchase a machine that we can hire women, train them how to use this machine to manufacture our own biodegradable sanitary pads. Our plan with this is to establish a women's co-op so that we would be still producing the pads and distributing them to women in need, but we would also be able to offer them for sale at cost to women who could then turn around and sell these in their communities, thus offering in, creating an enterprise and offering a financial opportunity, as well as further stopping the stigma surrounding menstrual health. So with all of the work that we do, One Life to Love, we're pretty accustomed to tackling obstacles and just ensuring that the needs of our community are met. But when the entire nation of India was put on lockdown last year for more than 5 months, we really were put to the test, and we pioneered relief efforts among one of the most vulnerable communities in India, which are the migrant workers. So if I'm sure many of you must have seen in the news, there was a crisis when the lockdown was announced. There were hundreds of thousands of migrant families who were basically stranded in Delhi when the lockdown was announced. So these are families who travel from other states of India into the city centers in order to find work. They mostly work as unskilled laborers. So these families were stranded. They live hand to mouth. So without, work was stopped. So they had no work, they had no food, they had no one to turn to for help. And we saw there were so many organizations that were, distributing hot meals to these families. But I had mothers and fathers of young children coming up to me and telling me, I can't wait in this line. I can't be in this crowd with my young children. I can't put them at risk. I need help. So we decided that we would not only help these families, but we would restore their dignity. We would make sure that they didn't have to wait online for one meal a day. So we actually started putting together care packages filled with enough dry rations, vegetables, oils, everything they needed to eat 3 meals a day for a week. And word began to spread, and we ended up helping over 2,000 families throughout the the whole entire lockdown. So we continue as part of like our COVID relief and just adapting to the ever-changing needs of our community. As I mentioned, our girls' education program, we work with at-risk girls. These are girls from very underprivileged backgrounds. So now with the online virtual learning requirements, these are girls that, internet is a luxury, smart devices are a dream. So we ended up identifying girls that did not have access to smart devices or internet. And we are providing smart devices, internet package recharges, guidebooks, everything they need so that they can study at home in the safety of their home. And just to ensure that they stay in school. So what I have learned from the pandemic is that social organizations need to be sustainable. The whole world suffered during the pandemic. A lot of people are still suffering, and the nonprofit organizations are also suffering, but at the same time, we're being looked to as a source of help to the most vulnerable communities in the world. So what I've learned is that we do need to be sustainable, and I would regret if I didn't get to share with you all today about One Life to Love's future plans to build a campus. And this campus would act as the center for all of our programs, as well as enable us eventually to become financially sustainable. I share this with you all because I know that FIT is a community of creatives, and we are lucky to partner with Architects Without Frontiers, as well as NBRS, architectural firm based in Australia, and the Sarah Aubrey Group. They are helping us to design, plan, fundraise, and make this dream a reality. And I appeal to all of you, if you feel that you can help us in making this vision a reality, then please do reach out to me. But there are so many ways to get involved with One Life to Love. One of the things about One Life to Love is that, our organization is run by volunteers. I myself am a volunteer. That is one of our main principles, is that we ensure that every donation goes exactly to where it's intended to go. Therefore, we do everything we can to keep administrative costs at a minimum. So I'm a volunteer, we're all volunteers. If you are someone that wants to align your gifts to a cause and to its purpose, then we are a great organization to volunteer with, to be a part of. If you want to have your voice heard and your creative direction truly make an impact, then I suggest you to reach out to us. You can contact us by any of the ways on our website. Of course, we always need donations. There are ways to donate. But yeah, our volunteers and our board of directors, we also are adding new board of directors by this coming May. So if that's something that you're interested in, please reach out to us. We would love to work with you. Now I'd like to open it up to Sidi and Isha, I believe, for if there's any questions.
Hi, everyone. So I just want to say thank you to Courtney. I just don't have enough words for you. And we are so grateful for the work that you are doing and that you will do in the future. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart, from everyone's side, for doing this work. And so I just wanted to share a few slides about like how in my city helping women works and what organizations we have here in my state, my city. So I'm just gonna present my screen. Let me know if you guys can see.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you so much. So I have this word here. It's in Hindi, and it's called Nari, which means woman in Hindi. And So I just wanted to share, like, there's this helpline. It's known as 1090 Women's Helpline in Uttar Pradesh. And this organization helps women in every possible way they can. If you have any problem, you just have to dial 1090 and they will be there with you to help you out and with whatever you need. And it's also for children. So here it says in the second image, if you see here, it says Mahila Evam Bal Suraksha Sanghatan, which means Women and Children Safety Organization. So they help both women and children. And I have some friends who are actually working there right now, and they handle this Twitter verified account of Women Powerline 1090 Uttar Pradesh. And they post about the awareness for women and how they are helping out people, and they constantly keep up on social media so they can reach out to as many people as possible. And I'm so proud of them that they are working there and doing their part as a citizen. And I just wanted to share more pictures of the office that's for the women and the children, and then you could go there and just reach out for help. And then there's this new initiative in my city. So it's called Pink Booth in Lucknow for Women's Health. So if in case you, and actually this is a picture of my city. So this is Lucknow. And you can just call or just go to this Pink Booth if you are in trouble, or if you have any sorts of problem, you can just go there and ask for help, and they will be there with you to help you out. So I am really happy with the initiative that has been happening in the city. And this is really amazing how they are like finding new ways to just get women to, you know, come and seek help, because sometimes they are just not comfortable in reaching out. So even at these booths, there are female police who like sit there, and they are there so that women feel comfortable in coming to them and reaching out to them to just help them out. And I just wanted to share more what we do as a citizen. So my dad, he is into catering business, and whenever there's like whenever there's a wedding, he makes food, and then there's food made separately that is sent to different NGOs in Lucknow, and the people in NGO, they distribute it further to the poor people. So I just wanted to share the initiative that we take as citizens. So I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Isha. I think that gave people more perspective on how, how much is still needed to be done, and how different ways, different places that people are kind of taking initiative. And so I think we can start with questions, and I kind of wanted to ask Courtney first. So you shared with us your amazing journey on like how you got into this and what really motivated you to take the step. But I want to know, like, when you were starting out, and even now when you try to carry out these various initiatives, how hard is it to get past the bureaucratic red tape, so to speak, like to get permits and to like organize all of this? Because as much as I know India, it is things are busy. It's a busy country, it's a busy city, there's so many people. So how do you get past all of this the bureaucracy of this, and how do you kind of like the process from start to finish? If you could share that with us, we would love to hear it.
Sure. Thank you, Siddhi. So initially it seemed like an impossible task. And I remember telling friends and family in US, like, hey, I'm going to do this. And they're like, how are you going to do that though? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to, because it has to be done. So initially I didn't even know the language. I didn't speak any Hindi. It's a lot of hand gestures and all, and just trying to communicate. But yeah, so over time I've learned the language. I'm able to speak and communicate and understand. So that was a big roadblock, you could say, was the language problem. But I never let it discourage me. I always sought opportunities to just overcome that. I took classes online. I made it a point to just even though I'm kind of a shy person, but I just made it a point to speak, even if I spoke wrong, just outside of my comfort zone. So like that, I learned the language. And then as far as like the red tape and, licensing and all of the bureaucratic, the, logistics of everything, it's a completely different system than what we have in the States. So yeah, just learning that system. I think my years volunteering really helped me to get a good grasp on the social sector here in India. So I knew a lot of the processes by the time that I wanted to open my own orphanage and organization here. So I knew a lot of the processes and the requirements, and that helped me a lot. One of the biggest struggles I had was finding, good people here within India to come alongside me. I had my network in US. That's where I'm from. That's where I went to school. So it was hard for me to, in a sense, like start from scratch here in India, like finding good people to come alongside me and who had the same heart and passion to do this work, which you need to do this work. It's not like a job, it is a passion. So initially it was tough, but like I said, I met these amazing women, these house mothers who came alongside me. They've helped me, they've taken me under their wing, they've in a way mentored me and helped me to do this work. And I think that at this point now, we've reached a point, we have a reputation in the city, even beyond the city. We have, in states of Bihar and UP, we get calls every day from people that are in need of assistance and seeking our help. So we've gained a reputation, and we've gained a following, I guess you could say, of people that want to help us locally here in India. We have our neighbors surrounding our orphanage who come from time to time with rice or flour or, gifts for the children. So like that, it's like anything else. It takes time. It takes a lot of hard work. There are a lot of letdowns along the way, but it just makes the victories that much sweeter.
It's so cool that you've developed this network and system. That is super, like that. I think that's a pat on the back. Like that is great work, and I know that's not always the easiest. So yeah, thank you for all that you do. It's amazing. Another quick question I had was like, what were the challenges, especially with special needs children and migrant workers? Like you were saying, they move to different places, like around, for job, for work. What were the challenges to kind of open a system or, help them specifically, to give them the support that they need?
Yeah, so as far as special needs, when I was starting out with this home just 5-6 years ago, I guess it was like 10 years ago now, but the system was completely different. And the word special needs was not even used at that point. Even in a city like Delhi, they would just list all of our children, no matter what they had. If they were on the autism spectrum, if they had cerebral palsy, they would just list it as MR, which is mentally retarded. And in the States, we don't even use that term anymore. So that initially was really difficult. So what I started doing was organizing these awareness campaigns in the slums and other community centers around talking about special needs, and just like letting people know what is a child with special needs, how to identify a child who has special needs, and how to address that child, what to think of them. Because a lot of times in places where people are, they don't have awareness or even education, a lot of, at that point, a lot of the communities we were going into, people didn't even know how to write their names. So how do you explain this to them? They would see the child as like, oh, something's wrong with them. So we just tried to develop a sensitivity towards these children and even a sensitivity towards their families, because in a lot of cases, these parents would be kind of ostracized for having a child with special needs. So we really wanted to aim at those myths and just get rid of those. And that's what we did initially. And that's how we initially started rescuing children. Through these awareness campaigns, people would come up to us after and say, I know a child that is being locked in a closet right now because the parents are hiding them from the community because the community doesn't accept. So in that way, we were able to break some of those barriers. And then in terms of dealing with families who are, migrants, they migrate for work. We started a daycare center for the children of migrant workers. And these are children that are pretty much, they miss out on all of the opportunities that the government offers to underprivileged children because they move around so much. They'll be in one place for work for 3 months and they finish the construction and then they're off to somewhere else. So no organization really does anything for them because you have to invest money. If you're educating a child, you have to give them uniform, food, books, everything they need. And if a child is leaving after 3 months, most organizations say it's not a very wise use of our funding, but we believe that every child matters and every child deserves an equal opportunity. So that's why we started our daycare center for these children. And it actually started with one girl named Ruchi. And she just lived near our orphanage on a construction site. And she was about 8 or 9 years old. And she was responsible for caring for her younger siblings while her mom and dad worked. So I used to see her all the time roaming around with, a little baby on her hip and one holding her hand. And I'm like, my God, this girl is so young. And so we would talk and we were friendly. And then one day I was like, just come to our orphanage. You can eat there, like your brother and sister can play and you can study with us. So she showed up the next morning at 7 a.m. She was so excited to study. And then every day after that, she would show up first thing in the morning and she would have at least one other child with her from some other construction site. And through that, it just grew. And now today we take care of 30 children every day.
That's fantastic. Such a touching story. And I'm glad, like you said, it just grew. So like you can see the impact that it had because it's like one person, then two, then three, and it kind of just goes from there. So that's great. And another thing I was curious about is like you said it's an international organization and you have funding from the US and other places. So how did you find people who were willing to fund this mission and help you out? And what happens now? Like how do people get involved? I know you said something about donating and all of that. So can we have like more details on that? So if anyone wants to get involved, they can, just jump in and do their part.
Yes, I'm just trying to share my screen with the contact information on it so you can all, okay, this is our website, our social handle, and my email address. So again, we are an organization run by volunteers. It started out just me and my mom. I was in India and my mom was in the US spreading the word. So my mom is a hairdresser by profession. So she would just tell all of her clients, like that's her gift. She's like a talker. She can communicate with anyone. So she just spread the word. And again, it's like one of those things that just happen. Like the right people come to us or we get sent to them. And through that, we just are building a network. Again, we are a small organization run by volunteers. So we don't have like necessarily a team of people that are trying to market or do public relations or anything like that. So everything is word of mouth. And that's why I invite all of you present today. If it's something you're interested in getting involved in, it is a place where you will have a voice and a creative direction in where we go with this. So I invite you all to reach out to me and get connected.
So with the COVID pandemic, I know people can travel and can go places. How would one get involved, like, virtually, internationally, sitting behind a computer screen? I know you mentioned your project of having a center and other things like that. So like, what are other ways people can get involved virtually?
Yes, so we do host these virtual volunteer hours. We do them twice a month. This is a way for anyone to get involved. Right now, we have a group of women. They're actually Indian women who are based in the US now. They pretty much like adopted our children in this way. They organize these volunteer hours where it's, all through Zoom or Google Meets, and one person leads a half an hour session, and they just do something with our children, anything, whether it's teach them a dance or do an art and craft or read them a story. And it's just a great way to build relationships, and it does make a difference for our children. It's exciting for them, they're engaged, and it makes them feel special, like, more people care about them. And so that's a great way to get involved through our virtual volunteer hours. And if you email me, I can give you all the details for that. We do have a sign-up sheet, which I can send to you all. So these are just like other ways. You can volunteer in India. I know things with COVID and all are a little bit uncertain, but we do have a tentative volunteer trip planned for the end of this year. So my husband and I actually run a travel company. We do group tours in India. We bring people from US and other countries to see India. So we develop these experiential tours, and they're like cultural immersive tours. So if that's something you're interested in, you can come volunteer with us and get to see India, which is the most, I'm not biased when I say this. India is the most amazing country in this world.
So we have a question from Dr. Nagel. He says, which courses or professors at FIT in hindsight prepared you best for your wonderful work?
That's a great question. So I think FIT as a whole has, again, it's been a significant part of my journey. My whole experience at FIT, all of my professors, my fellow students and all, it's just inspired me so much. I would advise all of you on this call just to travel. Like, FIT has amazing study abroad opportunities, internship opportunities. I would suggest that you get involved in that. I took a study abroad, a short-term winter interim study abroad in Turkey, in Istanbul. And at that point, I worked with a women's co-op as part of my project, where we were working with women who do a traditional type of carpet weaving, and this organization was helping to keep that tradition alive. And that was just like an amazing experience for me. Yeah, so travel, study abroad, take advantage of all of the opportunities that you have at your fingertips at FIT. Visit the Global Education Office and just find out all the opportunities you can take part in. It's the most important thing. I think that the catalyst for all of my work is travel. I spent time in Uganda. I, traveled around the US a lot, and then my time in Turkey. So all of this was kind of the catalyst. Travel is so important. I think just to like immerse yourself in a culture, whatever you can do, just learn about other cultures and get involved in these study abroad opportunities.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Please don't be shy. Feel free to ask anything you're curious about, anything you want to know about, how to get involved, just more about, the work Courtney does and One Life to Love does. So we have a question. This is going off of Professor Nagel's question. What parts of your background, like your major at FIT, play a role in your work? And did you ever work with special needs children in the US before going to India?
I majored in international trade and marketing for the fashion industries. I initially got my associates in jewelry design, then went on to get my bachelor's in ITM. So obviously international trade and marketing, international has it in the title. So that kind of led me a little bit in this way. But I think even during my time in jewelry design, we work a lot with gemstones and the trade of gemstones, and materials, metals, and silver, gold, and all. So I think from that point, just researching on costs and the different corporations and companies behind all of the trade of these things, it interested me in trade. And that's how I got involved in international trade and marketing. And then from there, I think at that time, CSR was like the new term. It was like the new thing. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, yeah, let's make companies accountable. Let's make them more, let's talk about fair trade and all of that. So a lot of my projects in my junior and senior year were about fair trade and corporate responsibility. So yeah, and then did I ever work with special needs children before going to India? No, I did not. I have no experience with that. That's why it's kind of like, it's an oxymoron when people meet me and then they ask me what my background is and I say fashion and jewelry design, then they're like, wait, how does that? And it doesn't make sense. But again, that goes back to finding out what our gifts are and aligning them to our purpose, which is to help people, I believe.
Yeah, I think I agree with you in the sense that your background in terms of fashion or jewelry or whatever it is, as long as you have passion and you're willing to you're willing to work and you're willing to learn. That's what I was trying to say. And as long as you're passionate about it and you don't mind doing the dirty work and just being out there and getting things done, I think anyone can do it, and we can see that you have a passion and you really, really want to do it. We have another question from Helen, actually. It says, I agree with you. India is amazing. What is your favorite part of living there?
Oh my gosh, what do I say? There's so much.
Food.
Yeah, but I was going to say food first, but then I thought, okay, this is FIT. I should say the clothing. Clothing and jewelry. No, Indian clothing design and jewelry design, in my opinion, is unmatched. So yeah, I just love everything about it. The culture, the people. I've learned something new every day here. And I just love it. It's home to me now. And I was thinking about that the other day as I was walking to the orphanage. I'm like, this is home now. I love it here. I absolutely love it. And it is hard now. Like I haven't been able to travel back to the US to visit my family and all because of the COVID lockdown and pandemic. But I really found a peace that, okay, this is my home. It's okay. And, I'll get there soon enough, but I feel at peace here. This is where I belong.
That's so sweet. It makes the fashion designer in me so happy when you say like clothes and jewelry. I'm like, yay. Okay, so we have another question from Joanne, and she says, if someone wanted to apply to be on your board of directors, what would that entail?
So we welcome applications. If you'd like an application, you can email me. Again, my email is up on the screen here. So we have a list of responsibilities for our board of directors, and I would send that to you, and then you would have to think it over. We would talk about it, and you can always apply for that position.
That's great. And do we have to have like previous experience to be a board director, or like can anyone apply who's passionate about it?
Anyone can apply. There's no like prerequisite for that. So basically, you would get the list of job descriptions, and those amount to aligning yourself with our cause and our values and our principles. And then, if that's something that you can do, attend our weekly meetings and become a pioneer for this cause, then anyone is eligible. So
that's great. I really do hope people think about it and reach out and kind of, push themselves and, get involved. I think it's really important. I know I will be getting involved very soon. Watch out for my email. And I know a few other people listening here will also want to. So I want to actually, does anyone have any questions? We love to answer some. Anyone chat, or you can turn on your camera and talk. And okay, well, there are a few like comments in the chat that I wanted to just read to you because I thought they were great. From Sarah, it says, Courtney, your work is incredible. I'm an advisor to FIT's UNICEF Club, and I will urge them to link their efforts with One Life. Thank you so much for visiting us today. Also, I love this program, Alex and Helen. Yeah, so and sorry, I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm not going to pronounce it, but someone else also says, I am in awe, I will be in touch, which is a great response. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, it's fantastic that you want to be in touch.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Siddhi. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. Again, get in touch with me. I'd love to be connected with you all. Helen, Alex, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Isha, Siddhi, thank you so much.
Thank you, Courtney. And we hope to see you there. See you in India soon.
Yes.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
everybody.
everything that you do. I just want to say that again. I think we haven't said it enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, same. I just want to add that I really do understand like how hard it would have been to begin with, because I know I am like very lucky to be where I am right now. And I know like even when I was in school, it was really hard. Like even when I got my period, I would be shy to just grab my pad from my bag. So I cannot imagine how hard it is to work with this community and make them understand like how it's not a taboo, and it's just something that's important, and that you need to understand that. So it's amazing how you are like changing that. I like, wow, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so very much, everyone. Also from my great praise, Courtney, really for your work. I just wanted to finish by inviting everyone for our next meeting. So Courtney, I mean, you were really so inspiring, and I mean, it will be difficult, I think, for our next meetings to revive this. So our next meeting is actually next week. Already next Thursday, again the same time from 12:15 to 1, and this time we have 3 professors from FIT, all in different places. Today we had India, next week we have Lebanon and Italy and New York. So the theme for next week is Stitching Life, exploring the art of embroidering clothes and repairing hearts. So I think it's also in a similar vein, probably also what can we do in these times of pandemic, also to be together, to help communities, so and individuals. So thank you again, everyone, for being with us this afternoon. And what time is it now, Courtney, in India? It's probably already almost midnight, or?
Yeah, 11:30, but we'll be up all night. So today is a holiday in India, Mahashivaratri. So we have to stay up all night. So it was perfect timing for this event.
Oh, thank you. So happy holidays. And yeah, to everyone here also, have a wonderful weekend. And thank you again for joining us for this meeting. Thank you. Bye-bye.